All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gordon Strain, and I'm one of the owners of Pegasus Pictures. I'm also professor of theater at Franklin College, and I'm a scenic designer and artist by training. And today, I'm going to share with you 5 easy tips to help you set up a Zoom room in your house. And this little showcase is part of Bloomington Performing Arts Relief Fund. So if you're interested in donating to that, please head over to www.thebaft.org/COVID for more information. Obviously a lot of artists, performing artists all over the country and world are out of work. So we're doing our part to help some of them. Also, while you're checking out BAFT information, there will be more master classes happening this summer, so you can check out their website for more information on that. And here we go. So here we are. Many of us are in the new position where we have to work from home. And if your house is anything like mine, you might have kids at home. You met Josephine a minute ago. You might have pets. We have a huge dog here. You may have a spouse or a significant other or maybe a roommate that is also starting to work from home. In my case, I have all those things, and that also means that my house is a total disaster. We have piles of clean laundry over there. We've got Legos and books and other art projects happening over there. We've got puzzles set up over here. It's a mess, and it's stuff that my coworkers, my students, and my friends don't need to see. So that's why we're setting up our Zoom room. That way we can manufacture a perfect little space so that everyone thinks that we have our lives together in the midst of this global pandemic. Okay. Anyway, yeah, my wife often works from home, and she actually has an office set up on the back of the house. So it's a nice little space. Some of you may also already have a spot set up in your homes. That's great. Some of these tips will still work for you. And if you have nothing, then the tips will do even more. So if you've got your spot already, great. Get in that spot. We're going to talk about it. And we're going to make you have the best Zoom room for your next corporate event where you actually just stay at home but pretend you're all together because of the global pandemic. On with the tips. Okay. Tip number 1. If possible, try to find a corner. Okay? The corner, the angle will help give a little more depth to what you're doing, right? And add some dimension to your background. And that will just give you more visual interest in the space. Another option might be to have a large, open, clean space behind you. My friend Connor actually has his Zoom room set up so that you see his living room. However, Connor has no pets and no children, so it's probably a lot easier to keep it cleaner. Not for me. Anyway, if all you have is a flat wall, that's fine too. The key, though, is to make sure you have some separation between yourself and the wall. Otherwise, you will feel like you're crammed and jammed in the space, and it will just look awkward for all the meetings. So if you've got a corner wall, that's great because you have a little more room you can set into. If you only have the flat wall, just give yourself a little bit of room between you and the wall. I have just about 18 to 24 inches between myself and the wall. So it doesn't just look like I'm stuck in here and can't move. Okay. Tip number 2. Add some personality. Remember, this is not your office. This is your home where you are forced to be, and you are converting it into an office. So it's okay to let people see a little more of you, right? This is a bigger reflection of you. You're not going to your office. You're not going to your cubicle, whatever it is. So this is your home. So in my case, I wanted to add a little personality. I made it sort of like a tiki/beach room. But the devil's in the details, right? There's more than just that to it. Those of you that know me, you know how much I love Christmas. So you can see I've got my Christmas palm tree set up, right? With some lights and some ornaments still on it. It fit the tiki theme. I also am a fan of old monster movies. So behind me, you can see this is actually a picture of Godzilla playing an ukulele. I got to pan up just a little so you can see that. Playing an ukulele and some hula dancers around him. Great. And down here, you can see we've got Daryl McDaniels from Run DMC. You know, just a few little things because you know this is your space and you should make it fun. I should also point out though, this is a shared space. I mentioned my wife has her studio or her office in the back studio of the house, but my 10-year-old is also doing her e-learning and we're sharing this space. So she wanted to add a few elements to make it her own. So one of those elements you can see right behind me here is the sloth, which she hung a lei on so that it would look tiki themed as well. And you can see that she's added another sloth over here. Here's the key. If you are using a shared space, you need to think about what things can be added or taken away quickly to make it your space or whomever you're sharing with. So we've decided that we can just both add a few things and make it work. Okay, tip number 3. Try not to get too distracting with your background. We're on the edge over here. But the key to me was that this looked like a nice little fun getaway. So I really wanted to fill the space. The space, by the way, it's only about 5.5 feet this way. I don't know, maybe another 6 feet this way. It's not a huge space. So we really are just tucked in the corner here. I mean, it's a small house, so it's taking up a lot of space, but you get what I'm saying. Anyway, so we're kind of in this small space. We're trying to fill it, but not be too distracting. There are some things that are very distracting. One, this painting actually has glass covering it. So that glass can be very reflective. You can see the twinkle lights reflecting in it right now. So what I've actually done, well, and also I should point out that you can, you used to be able to see whatever was on my monitor reflecting in that glass, which meant if I was in a meeting and not paying attention, anyone who looked could have seen what I was actually doing. So what I've done to help reduce the glare and any embarrassing issues is I've taken a few washcloths and tucked them up under the painting, taped them up there so that the painting is just tilted out. So that's, again, cutting back on that glare and cutting back on anyone looking at my monitor. Excuse me. Okay. Other things that we've done in this particular space to not make it too distracting but still interesting. I added the lava lamp, right? That was just a little fun element. It is not moving fast enough to really bother anyone, I hope, but it's kind of soothing and relaxing. And when I'm droning on and on, it gives someone something to look at. So that's a little added bonus. And then if you can, and this is a big ask, but consider your overall background color. In my case, I have a lavender base. Lavender is wonderful because it is both warm and cool, depending on how it's lit. And it also is just light enough that I can, you know, I have what little hair I have is dark. I can really stand off from the background. So just think about what your background color is. If you have a wall or if you have a very, you know, bookshelf or something, just think about what colors are happening behind you. Tip number 4, make sure that you are comfortable, right? While the view is for the audience, the seating is for you. And my preference is a chair that forces me to sit upright. Otherwise, I will just slouch and slouch and slouch and slouch forever until you can't see me. So I prefer an upright chair. Some people might prefer something a little more chill than that. Some people like stand-up desks. Really, it's up to you. Just remember, if you're working here for multiple hours during the day, you want something that's going to be comfortable for you. What I can tell you is definitely stay away from recliners and couches, right? If you are just a mere peon at your company, you certainly don't want to zoom into a meeting with your boss while you're kicked back in a recliner or lazing on the couch and just having a good old time, right? You want to actually pretend and look like you're working. Also, if you happen to be the boss of the company, kicking back in a recliner is probably not the best thing because then your employees are like, oh, that's how the other 1% does it, huh? So you're looking for that Goldilocks of chairs, right? Something that's just right that you can hang out in for a few hours. And don't be afraid of cushions. Even those ones like that you blow up and you sit on and they're all padded and everything. Something to think about. Okay, tip number 5. What's going on with the lighting? And I will say that Byron is going to talk about this a lot more tomorrow, but I'm going to just give you a few things to think about while you're setting up your space. Okay. First of all, windows behind you are not the best idea. While you might think, hey, that's great, then my audience has a lovely view of the world behind me, the reality is you're going to just look like a silhouette, right? Everything is going to be backlit. It's going to be just not a great representation of what you want. You won't be the focus. So backlighting is bad. Those windows are bad. So do your best if you can to have windows in front of you. I actually have a row of windows in front of me, so I'm getting some natural light. I've also subsidized that with some artificial lighting. So my artificial lighting, I have a warm and a cool over here in front, and then on my side light, I have another cool. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, and of course, and then I have my lava lamp and the twinkle lights just as a little accent backlight. I know what you're thinking, Gordon, where do I find warm and cool lights? I actually just have different house lamps set up. So in front, the house lamps, one has a compact fluorescent light in it, the curvy ones, which is cool. The other lamp has just an incandescent in it, so that's a warmer tone. And then the side light just happens to be an LED lamp that, again, is a cool tone. So these aren't like crazy theatrical or film lighting things. They're just normal house lamps that I just have different bulbs in and are pointing to me. Okay, the last thing I'll say, this is the bonus tip. I actually have my computer is set up on a big desk in front of me, right? So there is plenty of workspace. And the reason I say that is because I don't know what your job is. I can tell you, though, that for mine, sometimes I'm also taking notes or doing other things. So I have a nice, wonderful workspace for those notes, for your cocktails, or whatever else you need on your table. Same thing for my 10-year-old when she's doing her e-learning here. She can have her other homework laid out, the stuff that's not on the computer. So we have plenty of room to work. It's just a little bonus. Don't get me wrong. I'm like totally of the school of like sitting on the couch with my laptop and just cranking stuff away. But you are now living in your work environment, so I'm trying to help give you a little bit of separation. So find a space where you're working versus a space where you're just relaxing on the couch. That's a pro tip. And then finally, if you've had a good time creating your space, you feel like it really represents you, I suggest naming it, right? So that at least you can have fun when you go to these meetings. So you can say, oh, we have a Zoom meeting at 3:30 this afternoon with someone very important. Let me just head to Gordo's Grotto and I can get to work, right? So if you've worked hard on it, have a little bit of fun with it, give your space a name. Okay? So let's do just a super quick review of all those 5 tips so you can write these down. Tip number 1, location, 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 right? Corners or large open spaces are great. A flat wall is just fine. Just make sure you've got separation between you and that wall. Tip number 2, add personality. This is your home. It's okay to give it some of your fun and flair. This is not your office. This is just where you're working for the next unforeseeable future. Tip number 3, Make sure you aren't too distracting with what you've created. Ultimately, you should still be the main thing in focus. And again, lighting is going to help a lot with that. And I also think that I know that there's a makeup tutorial, so there's going to be information on hair and makeup and how to, make yourself pop in the space. But you should not be blending into the background. The background should not be too distracting that it's taking away from you. You should still be the focus. Tip number 4, make sure you are comfortable. We know how long these meetings can last. This one right now is already at 20 minutes. And then tip number 5, consider your lighting. Okay, and again, Byron will be all over the lighting tomorrow. And then the bonus tip was if you have room in front of you for your props or your, whatever it is you're doing, then that would be great. Again, we are doing this, BAFT is doing this all week, right? We'll have other sessions all week, so make sure you tune back in for lighting, for hair and makeup, for sound, and for, I believe that John is closing us out on Saturday with how to actually speak to a computer. I don't know. Just look at the green light. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Again, if you are interested in donating to the Bloomington Performing Arts Relief Fund, please head over to www.thebaft.org/COVID for more information. And that's it from Gordo's Grotto.